Today, Google announced Stadia, their streaming game service for gamers. Is this something that gamers actually want, or does it not have enough bandwidth to stand? This is Forget Being Cool News.
You're watching Forget Being Cool.
Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Forget Being Cool News. My name is Dave Moore. Joining me, of course, is my fellow bald man, Keith Dahl. Hi, Keith.
Hello, guys.
Host of We Got Game Pass. And also joining us is John Beeler, a.k.a. Johnny Casino, my main man on the internet, host of the Button Discussion. How's it going, John?
I'm just curious why I'm not your other bald man on the internet.
Because you hide it with a hat.
Right.
Good call.
Stop hiding your baldness.
One day I'll come out of the hat closet.
Embrace it. It is what has happened. John?
Yeah, man.
How you feeling today?
Been a rough day.
Yeah.
Real rough day.
Yeah? Are you excited
Yes.
about Google Stadia?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think we should maybe get into some of the specifics about it before I can really tell you how I feel and why there's part of me that is very excited for it and other part of me that is very much not excited for me, and that third part that's like cautiously optimistic.
Well, here's the thing. What specifics did we get?
None.
Well, okay, so
The only thing specific I heard that entire time was when they actually said, okay, like 4K video, 8K video in the future, 60 frames per second. That was it. They didn't even mention what kind of like internet connection you need to have.
10.7 teraflops. Most important part.
There you go.
That was... I do like how they're just like shoved it in the other two's face with that one, screen. But okay, so you mentioned the specifics, right? The one thing they said, and it's something Dave and I talked about in our little prediction thing. We were discussing: is this going to be a box? Is it going to have a disk drive of some sort? Is it? One of us said something about it just being an app that ends up on your TVs at some point, whatever else. And they got into that, and I liked that. Like I like the fact that it's like, hey, you don't have to buy anything from us, right? You don't have to buy a box to do this off of nothing. You can just go straight from your TV.
Don't even need to buy their controller if you don't want to.
Yeah, and I've had a few discussions with people today about that controller. I actually really appreciate it because I'm an inline stick kind of guy.
Same.
But
it has its advantages and disadvantages. I would like it more for certain types of games and less for other types.
Sure.
Certain types I prefer the sort of Xbox layout to the PlayStation layout.
But this is the brilliance of this platform, is it basically will be playable with whatever you want.
Right.
So here's my favorite thing about this controller. And when they first showed it, I thought it was kind of dumb, but then they mentioned something. So it's got that what is it? OK Google or whatever button on it.
Yeah. The Google Assistant or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's dumb. Why do you really need that? Like, why would I want to buy a controller just so I can have that? But then they said that, and I need to see how this works, like in person, to know if it's actually worth it or not. But if you're playing a game and you get stuck and you can hit that button and ask it how to do a part and it pulls up a video that shows you, that's amazing.
That would be kind of cool.
Now, once again, they said that's up to developers to implement that feature, John, which is where this whole thing gets kind of iffy. Like, we don't know really anything. Like, there are no games confirmed for real other than Doom Eternal, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That is it.
Well, that was the part that surprised me the most. Like, okay, just for reference, I at least looked up when they did their beta test earlier this year, this is what the requirements were. Okay. You needed to have at least 15 megabyte downstream. Okay.
That's nothing.
You needed to have less than 40 milliseconds ping, so latency. Okay. And you needed to lose less than 5% packet loss. Okay. They recommended that you have a 25 megabyte down. Okay. So those are their recommended settings. And when they ran the beta, it only ran at 1080p, 60 frames per second at max. I don't know if that was say 25 was enough to do that, or if you kind of needed to have better to get that full all the way. If let's just say if you were at like 20, if that was maybe only enough for like 720p, 60 frames per second. I'm not sure how that worked, but that was what the requirements were back then.
So I had firsthand on with this, which is the part that it gets me excited for it is that I tried the Xstream thing, or Google
Project-
Stream, or
Project
Project Stream, or whatever. I tried it out. I tried it out in two different situations. Tried it once on this computer, which this computer could in itself play most games on a decently high setting. Like, it's not a top of the line gaming computer, but it is a gaming computer.
Sure.
I tried it with that. I had a wired connection that goes to the power line, internet connection to my router, which in my house at the time worked really, really well. I was getting 30, 35-ish down for my internet speed, and it worked flawlessly.
You didn't really run into latency even?
I ran into no noticeable latency or anything like that. Then I hopped on my Surface 3, which, I mean, the Surface 3 is like the, lowest form of computer, kind of, right? Like, it's there for you to do Word documents or whatever on. I hooked it up to there over my Wi-Fi. Now, granted, I was decently close to my router, but over my Wi-Fi, same thing. Flawless. I don't know if it was in 1080 because I don't know if that screen is 1080, but flawless, no latency, worked great, had zero problems. But
well, that's good to hear, at least.
Yeah, so this is where I'm optimistic, is that I've seen it work with what I had, and I didn't have, I didn't at the time have internet that was 150 megabytes or a gigabyte internet or any of that stuff. But there's a couple of places I'm concerned that deal with that right there, and that is like, so where I'm at right now, and the three of us know this, starting the Skype call, like, our internet right now is crap. Like,
yep.
I'm getting 13 or 14 down right now with the setup I have now.
Let's use this as a comparison, John. If we can't do a Skype call that doesn't require input or loading of the player or any of these decisions you make while playing games, if we can't do this, there is no way in the world.
Well, look, obviously, internet's gonna get better and better. I'll say this: at my old house, okay, I had internet that was fiber, and I got about 100 down and about 25 up.
Which is which is probably what Google wants you at.
Yeah, and for comparison's sake, so when Hot Shots Golf had an online beta, it was like May of 2 years ago. I did the thing where I used the computer, like PlayStation Remote Play, from my work computer, which also had a good setup, and I was hardwired directly to the router and everything. So I had an ideal physical setup as far as how that went, because my work download was fantastic. I could play that game, and Hot Shots Golf, obviously, much like Rock Band or something like that, is very latency intensive. If you don't have the timing right for hitting your shot, you're completely screwed. It's not like playing Final Fantasy or something like that, where hitting attack, a couple milliseconds later is not a big deal. It ran pretty well when I did that. Okay, sometimes I think I switched it where I didn't have it running at, I'd have it like at 720p 30 frames, so it would run a little bit smoother. But I could still definitely find latency. Like, I could miss a shot, and I think the problem that, for me at least, that I didn't like it as much was it wasn't consistent. I could take 10 shots, and 4 of them would feel just fine. You know what I mean? But the 5th, 6th, and 7th would be jumpy, and you can adjust to latency if it's consistently, like, say, 1 frame second behind. You know what I mean? Or 2 frames per second behind. You can make that adjustment. Well, but when it bounces all over the place, that's and I trust Google to have a better internet setup than Sony does with PlayStation Network. I'm just saying, as a comparison, doing that, those type of games I have a hard time feeling would do good, and that was on a really good connection. I don't have a really good connection now. Where I live, they just don't have great internet out here, period.
Part of John's excitement gets me excited here, because the idea that I could play these games on any device I have, right? The idea that I could pick up my phone or pick up my iPad or pick up whatever and boot into these games and play them is great, but I feel like we're at a point where we're not ready for this yet. Like, yes, I agree with you, Keith, that internet will get better. Like, this is going to happen. Things are going to change. Everybody's going to get better bandwidth, mostly, except the middle of the United States is still lacking real internet, right?
Yep.
And
just take a look at any cell phone carrier map and look at what, Nebraska through California looks like.
Right.
And
so, like, at this moment, like, Google is coming in here first, right? They're coming in here swinging, and we talked about Xbox doing this. Keith and I had a conversation about this already. This idea that this is the future, I believe it. Like, I actually believe this will happen, but I think Google is stepping in here so early that it doesn't matter what they do. This becomes one of those things that they did first, like Google Glass. We kind of talked about this, is where this is just...
who's using Google Glass now?
Right.
Nope.
Exactly. It's a concept, and in practice, it's actually really smart. I think people will want to stream their games. I think being able to stream your game straight to your smart TV is a great idea, except for the part where it doesn't work yet. And then everybody just kind of turned off by it. And I think when we go into this next console generation, these Xbox 2s and PlayStation 5s, right, this is something they've built the consoles to do. I believe that, right? But at the same time, I believe we're getting real consoles that are future-proofed to accommodate for this future that they think will happen in this generation. And I think we're still even 8 years away from the actual streaming generation.
Well, and you know what? And let's say that Xbox implements this similarly or whatever, but they have their next-gen system. Even if it's not using the full power of doing it, it's going to be a dedicated piece of hardware for it, and then you can go use your TV if you want to, or your iPad or whatever. But I think yes, with the internet speeds getting better, and I know they're expanding fiber in my area, quite a bit. It just hasn't hit where I actually live right now, at the moment. So it'll definitely get better. But even if it does, I still don't think we're ever going to be. I don't think no matter how good of a signal you have, it's ever going to feel like playing, especially when you start talking about like 4K stuff, the same as playing it right on your system right there. So it's still going to have a different feel.
So you say that, but in the experience that I had, like I could not tell any difference, right? There's always gonna be a thing of, okay, it's not on your machine if that matters to you or not. But like, as far as the feel of playing the game, it seemed exactly like if I was playing that game installed on my computer.
Well, let me ask you this part of it. The latency part of it, that's good because that's kind of the most concerning thing.
Sure.
But you said you have a pretty decent computer. Now, have you played Assassin's Creed that they gave everybody that was participated in this installed on your computer since then?
I have not.
Just for comparison's sake, because I wonder, even though it's 1080p 60 frames per second, if it still has a softness to the image that not being directly installed, being displayed right there on the computer, if even though it's how if you watch a Blu-ray at 1080p, it's still a crisper image than 1080p Netflix.
It's still
compression and stuff like that.
A 1080p Blu-ray is still better looking on my TV than 4K Netflix streaming.
Right.
If you ask me.
4K Netflix on my TV looks amazing when I have a good internet connection. But see, here's the part. Okay, so you could talk about like not feeling like you have it or whatever else. Now, the people that have the higher end computers, right? This is probably not necessarily going to be for them for a lot of games. They're probably going to be like, oh, I can just run this off my computer, which is where you're going to be playing it anyway. So why bother? Unless there's like a huge price difference.
I have 12.8 teraflops on my PC. It'll be fine to run on my
Yeah. But then you get the people who don't want to shell out the money for an Xbox, don't want to shell it out for a PlayStation, don't care about the exclusives, right? That don't have the $1,000 plus for a decent computer, which I mean, $1,000 is kind of low end for a good gaming computer, and they can do it. Now here's the downside. People in a situation like me, I travel, right? So part of my job is I am gone for weeks at a time in a hotel. I will be doing a lot of gaming during that time because I'll be spending just a lot of time sitting in a hotel room. I can't reliably take this with me.
No, but I doubt that in a hotel room Wi-Fi setup you're going to be able to reliably do this either.
No, maybe not this, but my plan is to stick an Xbox in my bag and take my Xbox where the thing is downloaded on it. Now, I might not be able to online game, although I'm hoping I will, but the games I have downloaded, I can do it. And I think this is where it's going to stand a big difference between Xbox doing something like that and, Google doing it. Is with Xbox, even with their next system and with this xCloud and all that stuff.
As John gets cut out here, I like that Google said this is for everyone, right? Like their idea was this is for everyone, but John brings up the point of, what about these people who don't have these high-end PCs? Are they paying for high-end internet to stream the games in the first place? Like
some places you can get good internet for not high-end prices. It depends on where you live,
That's kind of my problem with it. It's so hit or miss. What do we think, guys, about all this integrative sharing across YouTube stuff?
It's nice. I mean, for people that do that, I don't really generally stream when I'm playing. It's nice, and to me that's kind of the same as like the share button on the PlayStation 4, having Twitch installed on your Xbox. It's nice that it's there. It's nice that they can do the recording, what basically sounds like it's for the archiving purposes anyway, just on their servers, so you're not taking up resources trying to do it both at the same time. That part's nice. So
yeah, for people like us creating content, that's a fantastic feature. It would be worth to play these games in that way just to capture footage, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, do I want to do this? Also, they can announce a studio and say they have, we're making games. We've got our service.
Not one actual game was shown today.
Right.
Not one. That's insane to me. Like, look, say what you will about the technology, and it'll work great for some people, won't work great for some people. At the end of the day, the reason you use any platform, as they would put it, is because of the games. When Sony announces the PlayStation 5 or Microsoft announces the next version of the Xbox, you better believe they're going to show actual games at that press conference to give you some reason to use this. This thing's coming out at the end of the year, and they didn't say a single thing about a single game that is being actively... Like, they didn't even say, like, hey, the next... obviously, you would think Assassin's Creed's going to work on it. They didn't even say the next Assassin's Creed's going to be on it. Like, they didn't name a single game. Not one. That's crazy.
It's insane, and it's like they named the studio today. They were, like, announcing... I keep forgetting the stupid name of this thing.
I mean, it was their internal studio.
Stadia Entertainment, right? Like, that's literally what they're like. We're proud to announce today that Stadia Entertainment is a thing. Here's the woman we hired from Assassin's Creed Company. Welcome to the stage. Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I'm from Google now. And no game, no announcement, no... Get excited for this thing. John is back. I don't know what happens to our call recording when we do that, but it'll be interesting to find out.
Are we still on the thing?
Oh, we have not stopped.
Oh, no, cool.
Yeah,
hey,
we're still going. We were just mentioning
if you just made there.
If you didn't hear, what we kind of just spent most of our time just recently was that they didn't show a single game for this thing. Not Doom. I'm sorry. They said Doom will be there, but they didn't even show it. Like,
so I think what concerns me the most there is that, like, they didn't show the games, and I have faith that the big third-party games will be there. Like, if Assassin's Creed is going to be there, if Doom is going to be there, I have faith that these things are going to be there, but are they going to be cheap enough to make it worth it?
Are they going to still be $60 to buy from Google Play? Another service I need an account to buy more digital games that I don't know where they're being saved or archived for the rest of the eternity. Am I only ever going to be able to play this on Stadia? Like,
well, no, it said somewhere in that thing. It made it sound like there's cross-play and cross-save.
They said they would. I didn't hear anything about cross-save, but I did hear them say stuff about cross-play.
I could be wrong,
but I think they
sure when they said something about cross save.
When they said cross play, though, I think they were just talking about like you can play this with people that are playing on the Xbox version or the PlayStation 4 version.
I mean, that's kind of how
not necessarily like I'm going to buy this on the Android store or whatever, and it's going to let me play it on my Xbox also. I don't think it's going to be that.
I don't think that will happen, but I think they made it pretty clear that cross-saving was a thing if developers made it possible, and that also means like Sony making it possible for that to be a reality, and that's not going to happen.
I think it'll probably work fine on Xbox and with Xbox and PC people,
right.
And honestly, for the most part, even Switch.
Right.
You know, but Sony doesn't seem to give a damn about that. Maybe they'll change their stance come PlayStation 5, but right now they don't seem to be interested in it.
What a sad day for gamers across the world. We get a service and we're still not happy.
I was so excited this morning for a minute because they were showing some pictures of stuff they had on display there, and they had these cases. Like one of them had like ET in it. One of them had like the NES Power Glove in it. One of them had the Dreamcast in it. And I was like, and there were reports that Sega was kind of heavily partnered in this. And I was like, oh, like, I mean, not saying it would have been Dreamcast too, but if they were going to throw a bunch of money at Sega to, you know, redo some of their older IPs and stuff like that, and Sega actually put out a big, like, 20-minute survey last night that specifically named, like, both versions of Phantasy Star, like Phantasy Star Online and the old Genesis versions, and a bunch of other ones too. But to them to even acknowledge Phantasy Star, and, you know, seemingly what I thought was going to be kind of around this thing, that kind of just takes me back more to the whole, you know, they didn't show a single freaking game. Not one.
If they have Sega as a partner, Sega has nothing to put on this thing yet.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Now, to be fair, they said they're going to be back in the summer. Do they show up at E3 and swing their big "we got games" thing?
Maybe. They got to do something, because right now, I won't play it unless it's really cheap, or it works unbelievably well compared to what they've got going on. Granted, I'm going to need something I want to play on it in the first place, you know.
Yeah, and Doom Eternal is not that game.
Not for
Doom
me,
Eternal is going to be good though.
I'm sure if you like first-person shooters, I'm sure Doom will be fantastic. I just don't care about first-person shooters.
So, I think my biggest hope is that they stick with it. Like, it's gonna have somewhat of a slow start because only so many people are gonna have the internet connection's ability to use it. But if they stick with it, there's potential.
Yeah, I agree.
And especially if they stick with it in a way where the games themselves are cheaper, then it's even more potential, right? Like right now, you out of your hands, you don't even have to buy the box. Yeah. $400 to $600 investment is out of the way. So if they can make the rest of it that much cheaper as well somehow, then I think they have something in the future. Price
will always win out. So if you don't have to actively do anything, you know, as far as buying any hardware, you can use an existing controller and it works well. And let's, for the sake of argument, like a normal game is $60. If they can somehow, and computer games a lot of times are cheaper, if they treat this almost like a computer game, you know, store, and let's just say $60 games are more like $45, price will always kind of win out for the vast majority of people.
Especially if it works and I can play it on any device I already have. Like that, I mean, like the concept is flawless, Google. Like,
okay.
Hi Google. This is it's a perfect idea. It just, you didn't sell me on it. You didn't prove it.
Now let me run this past you and hope you didn't talk about it during the time in which my connection was gone. They talked about a thing where you can basically be watching a video on YouTube of a game, a trailer for it, someone streaming it, whatever. Click a button and start playing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that lead the possibility that this could be a subscription service type deal?
I'm sure they would love that.
Because otherwise, you wouldn't just be able to click a button and start playing it. Like, you have to go through the purchase process of that.
Right. That's the magic of advertising. That's not reality.
Now, what if... I mean, it could be an hour-long trial. It could be a demo version. It could...
That's true.
Well, there are ways they could do it. I'm just saying, it's not everything is going to be like that.
I mean, a way to
there are ways that could happen.
If it says play now and I get to play it for an hour and then get to make the purchase decision, that would be incredible. And the idea, and the one thing they showed, which I mean is once again, it's marketing, it's concept, it's not flawless, is that idea of no, the games are running on the cloud. There is no sit around and wait for the update. They showed the update screen. They're like, yeah, no, we don't do this. And that, look, this is my old man gamer coming out, but like I hate getting a new game from the store, putting it in and going, oh, there's a 50 gig patch. I guess I'll play it tomorrow morning. Yay!
I mentioned it earlier. I mean, I got talked into playing Destiny. I put that thing in. It's been, I mean, granted, this is back to the internet connection issue, but 2 days and I still can't play the game.
Right. Dumb. That's dumb. That should not be a problem anymore. Anyway, Google, I know you're not watching this, even though we're putting it on your service. I truly believe in Stadia. I do. I need to see better. I'm not concerned about a microphone in the controller like I've seen a lot of people freaking out about how Google's always listening to us. I'm not freaked out about marketing to us on YouTube. That doesn't freak me out. They're already doing that anyway. Who cares?
Your lives are not that interesting. Calm down, people. You aren't in the CIA. They're not,
Anybody who... I saw several people freaked out about the controllers having microphones in them. Stop it. Google Assistant is great. I have 3 in my home. Nothing weird has ever happened to me. It controls my light bulbs and tells me what the weather is every day when I get up in the morning and ask it because I'm too lazy to open a window. My name is Dave Moore. It
tells you what to think.
My name is...
I hope they just... I do hope, like what John was saying, that they stick with it because Google has enough money to sometimes just want to have a fun project and doesn't stick with it or doesn't keep continuing to give it the money. They've got the money to do this. If they look at it as like a 5-year, investment. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it'll be perfect in 5 years. I'm saying they got to stick with it and keep putting the money in, for 5 years to even see anything out of it. Kind of like I'm sure in a way Sony doesn't look at VR as like this major profit center for them. They're selling that VR helmet. They're probably losing some money on it. They're not selling nearly as many copies of games as they are regular games, but they know they need to be there for the future. You got to look at it like that. Like you're a platform holder now. You have to support that platform. So hopefully this doesn't just go the way that some of their other projects kind of do. They need to stick with it if they want it to be good.
And it scares me because of the way they announced it. Like every one of those projects has gone away. Anyway, John, thanks for joining me. You're Johnny Casino. You guys can follow him on Twitter at Johnny_Casino or listen to him on the Button Discussion. It comes out Thursday. We're talking about Bubble Bobble, I believe, or Pac-Man. I'm not sure. One of those 2 episodes is going up on Thursday. Keith is on We Got Game Pass. The episode on Abzu came out yesterday as you're listening to this. It's a very short episode because it's a very short game. But that's
about 3 hours.
We both beat it. It's an actual video game that I beat. Isn't that weird? It's insane. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this discussion, hit the subscribe button. We put out discussions Monday through Thursday, soon to be through Friday, because that's a thing, because I'm an insane person and want to beat myself into a hole. We put out news discussions talking like this. We put out shows talking about video games, movies, and music, and more. I'm Dave Moore. We'll see you guys very soon here on Forget Being Cool.
See ya.
Bling.
For more great discussions, hit that subscribe button or visit forgetbeingcool.com.